Hello, everybody, and welcome to Echoes of the Soul, brought to you by Matrix Productions Media. I'm Beth Donnelly, and here with my co-host, Dagny Grant. Hi, Dagny. And we are very happy to welcome once again to our show international best-selling author Petra Nicoll. And hi, Petra. Welcome.
Hi, Petra. Hi.
So just Petra, yes. So just a little bit about Petra for our viewing audience. Petra's first book, Petra's Ashes, was hailed as a spellbinding memoir about her near-death experience and the spiritual journey that followed. She co-authored The Big Secret with Jack Canfield, Chicken Soup for the Soul series, and is published in the anthology Life Sparks, Life Stories to Illuminate, Inspire, and Ignite. She recently published her first novel, The Billionaire, The Continuum, which is a continuation of the big questions in her life about power, corruption, greed, love, sacrifice, good and evil, and of course, the afterlife. Her second book in the Billionaire trilogy is called Soulmates, and that will be released by the end of August, coming up real soon here. Petra loves to work with people and is an intuitive coach and biofeedback practitioner. She hosts many retreats and classes on Reiki, essential oils, healthy living, and has a meetup group called PDX Afterlife and Conscious Path. So welcome to our show, Petra. We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me again. I'm so delighted to be here today.
Oh, good, good. So we're really excited about the release of your second book in the Billionaire series. And so let's just start with that. What inspired this second book in the series? How it has turned into a trilogy might be the second question you would like to address right now.
Well, there's a lot of mental factors. Waking up in the middle of the night and getting more and more ideas. And the first book became really, really long. And so my editor and I decided actually in the first book that it needs to have a second, it needs to have a sequel. Mm-hmm. And so as we were writing, as I was writing the story and came out with this incredible storyline of where it goes from the first book, from, you know, Derek Stryker is the billionaire and he dies of pancreatic cancer, but he's exposed to a secret society and offered a deal to leave them 90% of his wealth and be promised in his next life to get all his money back. And because he's greedy, he goes for the contract, doesn't really believe it, but then enters the afterlife and meets his guide Michael. And he realizes that he hasn't exactly been a, quote unquote, super nice person in his physical life. He begs him to be born in Calcutta and to break his legs when he's a tiny toddler so he could be a beggar. And then Michael says to him, sorry, but you signed the contract. So in other words, you have to come back a rich person. So in the first book, he comes back. He actually has a little bit of saying who he is in the first book for his next life. So he's born as Eli Evans, and he's born in Brownsville, Oregon, to hippie parents on a farm that adore him and love him. So he's in a good disposition, and he becomes this massive rock star. And on his 25th birthday, he meets Michael. Michael shows up, his guide, and Michael basically then teaches him some very universal lessons about how to be a real mensch and how to be conscious and how to awaken and how to really serve humanity. And so the second book is literally he and his soulmate that he meets toward the end of the first book, Angela. They set out on a journey of incredible love. There's a little bit of tantric yoga in there, you know, and we talk about Burning Man, and so there's a lot of intrigue and a lot of stuff that he has to clean up from his previous life, because he was part of a trafficking ring, and he was involved with somebody's phone just went off. So he was involved with he he was involved with very young girls in Thailand. And so by the way that the universe works karmically, we're always led back to those places where we always have an opportunity to clear up what we've started until we get it right.
Well, the minute I finished the first book in this trilogy, I knew there was going to be a second one because it ended really very intriguingly with the two of them getting back together. And so I knew there was going to be something. And then, of course, after talking with you and you told me the second book was on its way, I was really excited, and I can't wait to read that one. But it's not quite out yet, but I know it will be soon. So I think Dagny had a question about the second book as well. So I'm going to just send it over to her.
Yeah, it's interesting how the books flow into each other as trilogies do, of course, and I'm wondering, as the second book is just coming out, a third book I assume is already in the ether, and where do you see the story flowing? Where do you see everything going from here? Will there be, like, for example, will there be another lifetime cycled within the trilogy, or what kind of sparks can you fly to us?
Well, did you see The Matrix?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everybody saw The Matrix, right?
Most people.
Yeah. So my character Eli in the second book, it becomes really obvious that he's some form of a superhero that isn't just this rock star kid that has lots of money and great love and people adore him. He's actually here for a real purpose. And so in the third book, I just wrote the other day on Facebook a post and said, that the third book is going to be 1984 George Orwell on steroids. So I'm going into more of the ET cover-up and AIs, and it's going to get very technology driven because he's a young guy living in this century, obviously. So that's where the planet is heading, with all the earthquakes and all the unrest that's going on. So it's slightly political. And Eli is going to have some awakening on a level that he really didn't bargain for. He didn't really understand how manipulated we are. And so we're going into the story of what's really happening to humanity here for so many centuries. And Michael is going to educate him on how the DNA of humans has been altered and how people have been abducted and things like that.
Oh, deep topics.
Everything in the world being genetically modified, right? That's what greed will do. So the second book in the trilogy is coming out in a week or two. Is that correct?
Oh, we're just waiting for the proof from CreateSpace right now. Yeah.
Fantastic. And so are you anticipating the third book in the trilogy coming out 2019, 2020? What are you kind of anticipating there?
Yeah, this one is going to take me a little while because it's action-packed. I'm even writing to Stephen Greer, so who runs the ET agenda, So, I'm packing a lot of
You're not caging yourself into any kind of a deadline. You're just allowing it to flow organically.
That's good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a question about the second book. Tell us about cryptocurrency and blockchain and how Eli gets involved in it and why he does.
Well, I had to figure out how to get Eli to the 40 billion.
Right.
And you certainly admit that as a rock star, you have to have investments.
Right.
It doesn't matter how famous you are. Maybe Paul McCartney is close to that, but he's also done a lot of investments. He's a great business person too. Mm-hmm. So I had to figure out an avenue of, okay, how is this kid going to be that wealthy? And he has to get to it by the end of his life. And so there's a scene in the second book where he goes back to Brownsville to visit his parents. And he runs into a friend of his in the post office and he tells him that, hey, Eli, do you still have your crypto key? And he said, what are you talking about? I don't know what you mean. I said, well, you bought a bunch of Bitcoin when in 2013 with your tip money. So he finds the key in his little safe deposit box that he had as a kid. And he realizes that he bought, you know, $500 worth of Bitcoin. Would be worth millions.
Oh yeah.
So there you go.
There you go. Okay.
And then I'll explain the blockchain. So.
Yes, too. Yes.
Oh no, I won't explain it here. It's in the book.
Okay.
But, unless you girls really want to hear it.
That's fine. You have to have some secrets, so that's fine. That's okay.
Yeah, well, you know, the whole idea of the blockchain and cryptocurrencies is, you know, is what's happening, and it'll be interesting to see as, you know, 20, 30, 40 years from now how that all has evolved and taken shape over time. It'll be interesting. So it's great that you bring a lot of people aren't familiar with even the terms, much less, you know, that world. And so it's great that you're bringing the readers into that world and making it kind of fun and mysterious and interesting and exciting for them too. So that's very cool. Now you just mentioned Burning Man. Tell us about how you weave Burning Man into the book, and is that where the character experiences the ayahuasca and plant medicine? Is it at Burning Man?
No, but he is.
Okay, so we would love to have you talk a little bit about how both of those enter your storyline.
I really want to turn this into a Netflix series, you guys. I really do, because it's got so much action-packed, amazing stuff. I mean, you could just do like 3 shows just on Burning Man. So Eli uncovers accidentally in the second book a pedophilia, a trafficking ring in Thailand. And he gets drawn into it, and he is hunted by them. They figure out who he is, and they literally hunt him down. And then Michael, his
trying to help these girls. He's trying to help these children. Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. He's trying to help them,
okay.
And he's trying to expose it. And Michael, his spirit guide, that keeps manifesting, showing up all over the place. Michael tells him he has to go to Burning Man. And he doesn't understand why he would have to go to this hippie fest. And it's really not a hippie fest. It's an art installation in the middle of a desert in Nevada. And it's actually extraordinary. And one year, I would like to get a big RV and take a bunch of friends and go there.
Wouldn't that be fun? Oh my gosh.
And so like you do.
So he's at Burning Man, you know, and he's in disguise because nobody recognizes you because you're wearing colors and wigs and glasses and funny clothes, and so you wouldn't be recognized because you'd be so disguised. And he's exposed to someone who gives him belladonna, and he almost dies. Oh. But he has an experience during that out-of-body place that he goes to. Do you remember in Black Panther where the main character, after his father passes away, he gets to talk to his spirit and his father visits him? So there's a scene like this in the book where Eli gets to cross over and talk to, you know, people that are on the other side, and he actually meets a shaman on the beach in Thailand who is versed on the Iboga experience, and he takes him, Eli and Angelina, into that experience. Oh. And so I've heard of people that have done the Iboga, or not so much ayahuasca, but especially Iboga, which is stronger, that you basically get to see all your own internal demons, and you get to see, you know, things about who you really are and work on it. So many people shake addictions like meth and heroin after they do Iboga.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah.
So you kind of attached this aspect right after you talked about your Netflix series that you were hoping that it would happen. So I was wondering, is this something that you think you'd like to happen after the final element, the trilogy is complete, after the next book comes out?
Well, sort of. I have the outline for the third book already written, because there's always a beginning, a middle, and an end. So I have that. I know where the book ends, and I know what is in between and what it looks like. But I would like to start writing a script and actually sending it out.
Wonderful. Well, it would be so neat to have it on Netflix. That would be wonderful. So I hope you have success with that.
Yeah, screenplay is
I hope so too.
a different animal than a published printed book.
Yes.
Very different.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that would be fun. You could literally have, you know, a whole year of the series just be about Burning Man, actually. Weaving in characters there. Yeah, that's really fun. So you've been doing so many interesting things lately. We were talking a little bit about before we started the show today about your work with the biofeedback stuff that you're doing. Can you just share with us a little bit about that part of what you're doing that's outside of your work as an author?
So some years back, and I should probably go back a little bit more. Ever since my near-death experience, and you ladies did some very gracious interviews with me about my near-death, I've always been really interested in the atomic field. You know, I was always very interested in Einstein theories and Tesla, and Nikola Tesla was my hero, and Einstein was my hero. And I guess I ended up being, you know, at age 16, you know, buying science magazines, any kind of science stuff I could get my hands on. And I always believed that since atoms are made up of protons and neutrons, and little tiny aspects of the atom is a quirk. You can't even, you know, it's so tiny that it actually responds to thought and moves according to thought. I thought that anything is changeable. So if the atom is mostly space, is 99% space, then oh my gosh, what is possible with our thought? And so coming out of the limitations of my own thoughts, of my own programming, my matrix, like what if I stepped out into an astral field or a supercausal field of my body? And so that's how I was introduced to biofeedback, that I thought that this device, if I hook up to it, it could help me really find out what is blocking me and what is causing me to stay in a space of, you know, past programming, which has limitations. Society, parents, you know, good, bad, all this duality thinking. Because if we push through duality and we go into the bigger field, the superconscious field, there's only love. Because that's what I experienced during my near death.
Right.
There's only love. And we're not separate bodies. We're really all connected, right? So that was the impetus to do biofeedback. And I bought this $30,000 device and learned it and had to become a certified coach. And now I have it back and I'm hooking people up to my biofeedback device. It's exciting.
So I've been to different expos or events or speeches and things where they'd have display tables where they could like display your aura, and that you connect with a device and it shows the energetic field of your body. Is that similar to what the biofeedback machine? It's a literal machine that you have, correct?
It's a laptop in a box called the Indigo Quantum Biofeedback Device. And this device is different from the ones that do your aura readings, but think of a lie detector. You know how a lie detector works, right?
Yes.
So they put these strappy things around you that read off galvanic skin response. moisture heats of the body of the skin. And so with this device, it basically feeds from these head straps and wrist and ankle bracelets that you have on. It reads 12,000 trivector signatures from your body electric into a box that then transfers it to a computer program that has 700 programs.
700, wow.
700.
That's
anything from chiropractic to color therapy to past life to aura readings to it can reach the body.
You said astrology, numerology. They really can take all of those various aspects of personal development and kind of combine them into one kind of a reading and an interpretation, right?
It's a fabulous tool for
That's so fun. Now you're providing that service right now, is that correct?
Yes. Yes. And
so let me just say a couple of things. First, when Petra is talking about her near-death experience, that book where you can read more about that is called Petra's Ashes, and that and her last book in this trilogy, the first book in this trilogy, the one coming up, you can pre-order that, right, Petra?
Yes, absolutely. You can pre-order it.
Hook up with the other services like this one that she's talking about. You can go to petranicoll.com, petranicoll.com. You can see all of the stuff that she's up to. We'll give you that link again in just a little bit, and it'll also be a link that you can just click underneath this video. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you.
So you're actually like booking to provide this service with people right now, huh?
I'm booked solid. I can't believe it. I had a friend of mine who does human design work, and she's incredible at human design. And she was so excited about biofeedback after her first session that she thought, I should come over and do a little display of biofeedback on her friends. And I didn't realize that I was going to do 10 sessions, so like little short 20-minute sessions.
What does human design mean?
Human design is this is definitely somebody you guys would be interested to interview, by the way. Her name is Ruth Brennan, and she's amazing. And she and I are working together on entering the quantum field with biofeedback and human design. And that's a workshop we're planning. But human design.
That sounds so great. I need to move to Portland, baby.
I think so.
What's happening?
Come on.
What's all happening in Portland?
It's all happening here.
So human design, and I hope I don't butcher this, because I'm not sure I can really intelligently talk about it, but from the way I understand it is that human design was created by someone who took many modalities into one, but it reads beyond the chakra system. So it reads the design of someone with your date of birth, time where you were born, when you were born, your name, and your human design of what lessons you came in with.
So in both of these cases, human design and also in your biofeedback work, it's going to give a clear picture, or maybe like 700 pictures or whatever it does, of what the person is energetically like. And so after that is discovered, then do you then take them through maybe how to reprogram neural pathways that are really, the present ones are not effective for them based on what you've discovered, or what do you do as you take over after you've done the biofeedback?
This is an excellent question, Beth. In fact, Ruth and I sat down and rehearsed this the other day. It's like, okay, so you do the human design for someone, and you basically give them the information that you just mentioned. What is it you're here for? What is your design? But now how do you actually activate this? How do you activate the design you were born with? Because so many humans on the planet, so many people on the planet are here, and they don't know who they are. And they don't know why you're here. And if you don't have a purpose of why you're here, Well, that to me would be a death sentence for me. I wouldn't be able to live if I didn't know what my purpose was.
Absolutely.
And
It's one of the reasons why Beth and I wrote the children's book series on the I ams, because your I ams are either yours or they were handed to you by someone else so that you were living the life they envisioned for you. And so we're all kind of doing similar work, just in in different parts of the whole. So we certainly get that. And you got to peel off what other people have planned for your life and get back to your heart and your soul and your center and your direct connect, and then radiate out what's true for you.
Exactly.
What's desired.
A lot of people probably don't even realize what you said, Dagny, that they're operating from other people's IMs and not even their own. So until they discover that through, coaching or biofeedback or somebody reading their energy, they still have to do the work. They still have to work.
Absolutely.
I'm thinking, I don't know for sure how Petra does it, but I would think that then you need to get busy actually taking a step to do the work to create the neural pathways in your brain and in your heart, and go with that so that you actually have an IM that is something that is motivating and something that fulfills your purpose. When you talk about purpose, I totally agree. If you don't know why you're here, then you're probably not expanding in that direction.
Exactly. Yes.
It's quite what else I want to just ask you, because you're doing so many things. I'm like, what's next? Okay, so you also have this meetup group called PDX Afterlife and Conscious Path. Tell us a little bit about that. What's going on there?
We've had one. Well, it was born out of the Afterlife forum and retreat we're doing in Carson Hot Springs,
right,
in October.
And
so we thought we started a meetup group. It'd be kind of fun. At least we could get the word out that we have this retreat that's up in October. And immediately when I posted it, we had 120 members.
Whoa!
Right away, signed up.
People are interested.
And our first meetup was on my birthday, and we had a potluck. And I think we had about 15 people that showed up. And it was basically just a meet and greet, say hello, who are you, why are you interested in this subject, the afterlife, and, grief, all those kinds of things. And we had a wonderful turnout. And so now we're doing another one at the cabana on the lake, which is called Entering the Quantum Field. Oh, wow. So how do you enter the quantum field? By expanding your consciousness.
That's a great question.
So that's the title, and I'll talk about biofeedback. And Ruth will be there to give a talk on human design.
Nice.
That sounds like so much fun. And people can get information about that, and if not now, eventually on your website as well. Is that right?
Yes.
Great.
I have already quite a lot of information on the biofeedback on the website, so you can go to services and click. There's a video that is really pretty nifty.
Good. Well, sure sounds fascinating. I think that's it's in the realm of personal development, courses and classes and books and coaching and things that one can do. It sounds unique and very broad in its spectrum of what it is looking at in our experiences, and it sounds really fun. So I'm really excited that we're able to share that with everybody that's tuning in today. That you're doing that, and how to get a hold of you to learn more about that. That's very cool.
Yes, you were leading a very exciting life, Petra. I think I've told you that before. But it is.
I think your life is way more exciting than mine, Dagny. You just sang at a winery where people cried in the first row and sang
You mean
in the
Beth?
microphone,
Beth.
and you had a standing ovation. So I don't know whose life is more exciting here.
Oh, we're all exciting if we just operate from our heart space. I think that's what brings us to what excites us, and when we put that out there, it excites people right back. So yeah, I think.
And isn't it the best feeling when you can make people happy, and whether they cry or laugh or they're just that emotion? You know, I mean, when people always ask about who's your audience for The Billionaire, I said, I don't know. It doesn't even matter how many people really read it, because the idea is that it touches somebody's heart out there in this universe.
Yes.
That will have, it will somehow have an impact, which I think this book could be an amazing Netflix series, because there's so much stuff out there that doesn't have any teaching behind it. It's just, empty. There is not really a purpose for it. And I try to live my life always creating situations and events for people to find their purpose, to get closer to their own purpose. And that is what I'm passionate about.
That's wonderful. So maybe this Netflix series will be your next opportunity to do something for people, because I know you have such a good heart. You're constantly wanting to do more for people. And I think that's one way to reach them too, another way. So thank you so much for being here today. We enjoyed talking about so many of these things. Do you have any closing thoughts that you want to send out there to our viewing audience?
Oh, closing thoughts. I would just say, be good to yourself and take time to breathe. This is an interesting time on the planet. Everything's in retrograde. We're going through some heavy stuff. We've got all this fire thing going on in California, and even Portland has been cloudy lately with the smoke. So people are all having a lot of people are having a hard time right now. Seems like, and I just want to send good thoughts to the planet, and stay happy and be joyful. That's the remedy for all this. It's like, don't watch the news.
Happy, be joyful. That's right. So we'll all send those kind of thoughts out to the world, to the universe. That'll be great. So
well, and that's great advice too. Pay attention to how we're feeling. Take a breath. Allow a reset, right? Allow a reset of what we're focusing on, and that's really great advice. No matter what we're going through, and life is a roller coaster. It's not supposed to all be just one thing. Otherwise we would be the Borg for all of you Star Trek fans out there.
And we're close to becoming it.
Which is in the book.
That's
part of your book is being close to becoming it. Yeah, it's free will. Free will is a 3D thing, and that's and our ability to focus on that is a gift. So and focus on what really matters, and love, like you were saying, love is what it's all about. So. Thank you again so much for joining us today. Again, everybody, this is Petra Nicoll, petranicoll.com, petranicoll.com, and just give us a quick synopsis of your latest book. It's the Billionaire Trilogy. This latest book is called Soulmates, correct?
Yes. It's called Soulmates, and the third one, we don't know the title. I wanted to call it 1984 now here.
So this is a trilogy, the first of which was named The Billionaire, The Continuum, and you'll be able to find out all that stuff again, and get a hold of these books on her website, and get a hold of Nicoll herself. So
and call me for biofeedback.
And
So people need to make
that's
less.
right. And make an appointment to do this biofeedback. And if you're in the area, absolutely look her up and go to her events and book signings and things like that. Thank you again, Nicole. This was really fun. And
Thank you,
to everybody who's watching this video, we always appreciate you. Thank you very much. And until next time, peace.
Ciao.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening to Echoes of the Soul, brought to you by Matrix Productions Media. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you, Beth.
You're welcome. Thank you, Petra. Thank you, Dagny.